What if I told you that Israel once relied on a forgotten, aging missile system that quietly shaped its air defense history? Today, we uncover the old Chaparral missile, how it worked, why it mattered, and the surprising truth behind its revival in modern discussions. Let's dive into a revelation you never saw coming. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our channel. Today's episode starts with a surprising jolt, because few people know that Israel's early air defense backbone depended not on futuristic lasers or advanced interceptors, but on a small, hold heat-seeking missile called the Chaparral. Yes, long before Israel developed systems like Iron Dome or David's Sling, the country quietly adopted and modified the American-made MIM-72 Chaparral. And here's the twist: this little missile, often overlooked and sometimes dismissed as outdated, actually played a far more critical role in Israel's defense architecture than most realize. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't modern, but it was a workhorse. In this section, we reveal how the Chaparral arrived in Israel, why the military needed it urgently, and how it became the country's mobile, low-altitude protection against enemy aircraft. This is where the story becomes intriguing, because while the world focused on Israel's high-end jets and cutting-edge tech, few noticed this compact missile battery quietly guarding borders and bases. And even though it's considered forgotten, the Chaparral shaped key tactical decisions and filled crucial capability gaps. Stay tuned as the next sections uncover how this modest system earned its place in Israeli military history. To understand why Israel turned to the Chaparral, we must rewind to the 1970s and 1980s, a period when low-flying enemy aircraft and helicopters became a major threat. Israel's air defense network had strong high-altitude coverage, but low-altitude interception was still a weak point. Fighter jets couldn't be everywhere, and heavier SAM systems were too slow to react. Israel needed something small, fast, mobile, and reliable. Enter the Chaparral, a compact missile launcher mounted on a tracked vehicle. Equipped with heat-seeking missiles derived from the AIM-9 Sidewinder, the system offered exactly what Israel needed: rapid engagement of low-flying targets with minimal setup time. Although it wasn't cutting edge by global standards, its mobility allowed Israel to deploy it anywhere in minutes, tracking threats that tried to sneak in under radar coverage. This section dives into how Israel evaluated global missile options and why the Chaparral was chosen over other systems of its time. It wasn't perfect, but it was practical, available, and robust, qualities the military desperately needed during rapid technological change and evolving regional threats. The Chaparral became a stopgap solution that provided real battlefield value. The Chaparral missile system may look simple, but its design was clever for its era. Mounted on a rotating launch turret with four ready to fire missiles, the vehicle allowed rapid aiming and firing without complex radar. Instead, it relied on infrared heat-seeking guidance, meaning it locked onto the heat signature of enemy aircraft. The launcher could traverse and elevate quickly, enabling fast repositioning during surprise attacks. This mobility meant Israeli operators could hide, move, and strike in ways heavier SAMs simply couldn't. The system's simplicity also made it reliable in tough desert environments. In this section, we break down the missile's components: its seeker head, propulsion system, warhead, and engagement envelope. We also examine the unique strengths and weaknesses of heat-seeking missile systems. While dependent on clear line of sight and vulnerable to countermeasures, the Chaparral proved surprisingly effective when used strategically. Israel adapted its tactics to maximize the system's strengths, deploying it around high-value assets and along routes likely to be used by enemy aircraft. By the end of this section, you'll clearly understand how the Chaparral functioned, what made it effective, and why Israel continued to rely on it for decades, despite the rise of more advanced systems. Israel rarely adopts foreign military hardware without improving it, and the Chaparral was no exception. Israeli engineers upgraded key components, improving missile seekers, upgrading the tracking systems, and enhancing the turret's stability for smoother targeting. These tweaks gave the system better accuracy and allowed it to perform more effectively in the hot Middle Eastern climate. Israel also improved integration with local command and control networks. Unlike the original American configuration, which often operated independently, Israeli Chaparrals could be coordinated with surveillance radars and communication systems, significantly boosting reaction time and overall situational awareness. Another major upgrade involved optimizing the platform's mobility. Israel adapted the chassis for better reliability, durability, and faster deployment. These enhancements allowed the Chaparral to keep up with armored units and respond faster to shifting battlefield dynamics. This section explores how these improvements transformed the Chaparral from a basic heat-seeking system into a more capable, low-altitude defense asset tailored for Israel's operational needs. Even though it remained a short-range system, Israel's customized enhancements significantly extended its usefulness. Longer than anyone originally expected, the Chaparral served Israel during a transitional period in military technology. It wasn't always in the headlines, but it quietly did its job along borders, at air bases, and in mobile defensive units. In many operations, the Chaparral acted as a deterrent. Enemy pilots knew it was deployed, which forced them to adjust flight paths or stay at safer altitudes. This section highlights key moments where the Chaparral played a role in strengthening local defenses. While it didn't achieve the fame of systems like Iron Dome, its presence filled a gap at a time when Israel needed quick, responsive, low-level coverage. Units trained relentlessly to maintain readiness, and crews became experts in maximizing the system's limited range by using smart positioning and coordination with larger air defense networks. The Chaparral also supported defensive operations along critical northern and southern sectors where threats often attempted low-altitude penetration. Its mobility allowed rapid repositioning during escalations, giving commanders much-needed flexibility. Ultimately, the Chaparral served far longer than many expected, becoming a dependable, though often overlooked, part of Israel's multi-layered defense system. This section analyzes what the Chaparral did well and where it struggled. Its biggest strength was mobility. Unlike large radar-guided systems, the Chaparral could move quickly and operate without needing complex setup. Its heat-seeking missiles also made it simple to operate, reducing reaction time and maintenance needs. However, its limitations were also clear. The Chaparral's range and altitude ceiling were relatively low. It couldn't engage modern jets flying at high speed or using sophisticated countermeasures. Its infrared guidance was sometimes fooled by flares, high temperatures, or environmental heat sources. As aircraft technology advanced, the Chaparral's effectiveness naturally declined. But here's the important part: systems don't need to be perfect to be powerful. The Chaparral did exactly what Israel needed for its time: defend low airspace, protect armored units, and fill gaps left by larger SAM networks. This balanced view helps explain why Israel kept using it even as newer systems emerged. The Chaparral wasn't meant to fight the future. It was built to hold the line until that future arrived. As Israel developed more advanced systems like the Spider Iron Dome and improved radar-integrated defenses, the Chaparral started to show its age. The global shift toward digital warfare, electronic countermeasures, and long-range threats meant that simple infrared missiles were no longer enough. This section explains the gradual phase-out process. The Chaparral began moving from front-line duty to secondary roles, and eventually the system was retired. But that doesn't mean it disappeared instantly. Countries often maintain older systems for backup, training, or reserve force use. The Chaparral followed this pattern, providing value even in its final years. The transition wasn't just about replacing old equipment, it marked a shift in Israel's defense philosophy. The focus moved toward interconnected, multi-layered defense networks capable of reacting to diverse threats, from rockets to drones to fighter jets. In this new landscape, the Chaparral's role had simply run its course. Its retirement symbolizes the progress of Israel's defense industry, which grew from using imported systems to developing world-leading air defense technologies. Interestingly, the old Chaparral has resurfaced in recent discussions, mostly because of global conflicts, drone warfare, and interest in legacy air defense systems. As nations revisit older technologies for cost-effective drone defense, systems like the Chaparral attract attention again. While Israel does not rely on it today, the renewed interest highlights a valuable lesson. Older systems are not useless. They can still provide strategic advantages when used creatively in a world where small drones, loitering munitions, and low-cost threats dominate. A heat-seeking missile with mobility might still be relevant in certain environments. This section explores why military analysts, historians, and defense enthusiasts are revisiting the Chaparral's story. Its reappearance in conversations reminds us how innovation often builds on the foundation laid by earlier technologies. The Chaparral didn't just fill a gap, it helped shape Israel's approach to layered defense. The legacy of the Chaparral is not measured in dramatic battles, but in steady, reliable protection over decades. It is part of the story of how Israel transitioned from imported systems to self-sufficient, high-tech defense solutions. Each era of technology builds upon the lessons of the last, and the Chaparral provided crucial experience in mobile air defense deployment, heat-seeking engagement strategies, and network integration. This section highlights how the system's operational history influenced the development of future Israeli projects. The mobility concepts behind the Chaparral echo in modern systems. The upgrades Israel made to the missile provided valuable engineering insights. And the need for flexible, rapid response defense eventually led to innovations like Iron Dome and Spider. The Chaparral might be forgotten by the public, but its impact remains embedded in Israel's defense evolution. Sometimes the systems that get the least spotlight create the strongest foundations. In this final section, we bring everything together. The Chaparral wasn't flashy, modern, or impressive by today's standards, but it was essential. Its story reminds us that military strength is built on layers of capability and generations of experience. Systems like the Chaparral protect borders, train crews, shape tactics, and give nations breathing room to develop the technologies that come next. We end this journey with one clear message: even forgotten weapons hold important lessons. Understanding the Chaparral's role helps us appreciate how Israel built one of the world's most advanced air defense networks. It shows that innovation is a continuous process. Every new system stands on the shoulders of the ones before it. Whether you're a defense enthusiast, historian, or curious learner, the Chaparral story is a reminder that no piece of military hardware is truly insignificant. Every missile, every vehicle, and every system has a story worth exploring. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Israel's forgotten Chaparral missile, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next military technology breakdown. Comment below which system you want us to uncover next.